I don't want to start this episode off with a really dark note, but I have to acknowledge what's happened in Atlanta last night. I want to say, as much as though being online today has been really probably not great for my mental health, I also found so much support in the people who decided to repost, share, just stand up and like not be silent, like fucking speaking out on their platforms, reaching out to me. I can't express how much that meant to know that there were people around my life, in my life, who cared enough. It just shows the heaviness of showing your allyship. Like, I know a lot of people think that those are just words, but at times like this, they're not just words. They're something that could really hold someone back from doing something terrible to themselves. They're words that make you feel less alone. They're words that make you realize that you have friends and people who care about you and who care about your well-being and who want to stand next to you. And I want to say thank you to those people who reached out to me personally and online. Today was a really hard day for every Asian person in the world. But silence really is compliance. So yeah, I just want to leave it at that. On a brighter note, I really hope you enjoy today's episode. It was a conversation between me and a very long-time friend of mine. And I hope that you walk away from today's episode with some sense of enjoyment, a little bit of solidarity in the conversation my friend and I have. And that's it.
Here we go. Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of SmallTalk. Today I am joined by Maria. You want to say hello?
Hi everyone. I'm Maria. It's my first YouTube video ever. This is going on YouTube, right?
Yeah. This is my fourth ever. So, I mean, we're on the same boat, pretty much the same boat. Today we are having, Maria is having micheladas and I'm having the fanciest, most flavorful beer I had in the fridge. So that's what we're drinking today. Cheers.
Cheers.
Maria is a very long-time friend of mine. We met first year of university. We both moved to Toronto for the first time, and we kind of met in our residence because we got matched up at this residence that we were living at. So we got matched up as roommates, and then we were at the same school. We were like not in the same program at the time, but I ended up joining the same program eventually. And we ended up living together for a few years. So yeah, it's been a long time coming. Do you want to give a little quick self intro about yourself?
Sure. So I moved here from Colombia when I was 18. And actually the first person I met was you at the residence.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy to think about that because it's been so long.
Yeah.
And I was in the advertising program at OCAD. It took me like 5 years. I did an exchange program. And I've been working in advertising since I graduated basically, and it's okay.
It's okay.
We all want to quit, but
honestly,
like everyone in the industry that I know,
Yeah.
at least, it's
Yeah.
just
other than sort of, missing your family and stuff and missing like being able to go out, how have you tried to sort of cope with that kind of lockdown situation?
I mean,
You mentioned
so
watching
I've been
stuff.
actually, yeah, I've been watching stuff actually. I started watching, I don't even know how to say it, Evangelion. It's this anime series. It's
Cool.
so good.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I started watching it, honestly. I think it was just like it showed up on Netflix and I'm like,
What's it about?
I had been watching some Studio Ghibli films and I guess it
Mm.
just recommended it, and it's this kind of dystopian world set in 2015. So this came out in 1995.
Okay.
So it's set in 2015, and like the world is fighting these like really really scary monsters that are basically there to destroy humanity.
Okay.
And a group of scientists, it's like this branch of the UN called NERV, they built these robots that are huge, just like these massive robots, and only 14-year-olds can pilot them.
Oh.
So I still haven't gotten far enough to know why. It's really interesting. It's like also unexpectedly deep. Like the characters are very complex, and a lot of them have like a lot of traumas, even though if you kind of like pass by, like, because John, he passes by the screen, he's like, what are you watching? And it just looks like robots like fighting all these monsters.
Yeah.
Which is usually not the thing that I would watch. But that's just a part of it. I feel like the characters are really interesting. Anyways, so I've been really binging that show.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Anime is cool. Anime is dope.
I know. Yeah, the visuals are just incredible.
I watched
animations, everything.
I watched Paprika recently.
Okay, I have it in my list.
Okay, you haven't seen it. Okay.
No, not yet. And I also want to watch Perfect Blue. What's it called? Perfect Blue.
Perfect Blue. That's also a really great one. I believe, yeah, it's Perfect Blue.
Lately, I started just making stuff, just trying to make more stuff, really. Like outside of work, just stuff, things that inspire me, things that kind of make me take my head outside of my emotions a little bit, just like do something. I started taking photos, like still lifes. So that's been really fun. And like I've been building little props, and like I have all these other still lifes planned, but I'm waiting for stuff to arrive. It just became this really big project now. I'm like, why do I have to be so extra? But anyways, it's still fun.
That's good. As long as it's still fun.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, and I feel like Maria will never say this herself, she's super, super, super like hyper creative. Like probably one of the most, and I've said this to you before, like anytime I like check up on some of my friends or whatever, Maria is the one person I know she's like doing something new, or like she's picked up a new project, like probably passion projects.
You honestly say it so nicely. In my head, it's like I just never finish anything. Like I start all these random things and then I never have closure.
So let's talk about that.
But that sounds nice.
Why do you feel like you have to finish something though? Like a book or a project or whatever?
It just feels natural. Like the the thing that makes me mad is a lot of the reasons why I don't finish personal projects is because like I'm too scared that it's just not going to end up looking like what I pictured. It's like out of perfectionism, I think, that I just end up not finishing things. So that's something that I feel like I never had thought about before. Like I always wanted everything to be so perfect, so controlled.
Yeah.
To the point where then I didn't end up doing it.
Because you're never going to achieve perfection.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, like, it's boring, I guess. I just have to like let go of that idea.
Yeah.
I remember like this reminds me of an OCAD class that I took, which was the only class in the art department. Because everything else I took was from the design department.
Yeah.
And so the process is so different to the point where like I almost failed that class because I just wanted to plan everything.
Right.
And I was just thinking as a designer and not as an artist.
Yeah.
And my prof was like, you have to let go. Like, you're so tense. Like, let go. And I'm like, oh God, I can't do this class. This is awful.
That sounds like a scene in like a movie where like, you know, like that teacher that like a Robin Williams type of like character that's like, no, like stand up on your desk and shout from the top of the mountain. Like,
yeah.
Breaking you down.
Yeah. And one of his favorite quotes was like, if you make a mistake, make that again. And that's a technique. Make it again and then you make it a technique. And I'm like, okay.
Interesting.
Sure.
Interesting approach.
I know. It was very, very different from all the other design classes.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean like
I'm like really hot right now. I'm so warm.
You want to turn off your light or change?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
It's
like,
probably the light.
I'm like literally boiling.
We'll take a momentary break.
Well.
We are back. Maria just had a quick change of outfit because she was getting really warm.
I'm really warm right now.
Going back to sort of creative stuff. Okay, let's come back to that. Are there any artists or particular mediums that you found sort of most inspiring during this time? Like, were you more inspired by music or more inspired by movies? Or is there some artists in particular that stood out and you're like, they got me through this time?
I mean, definitely music. Like, okay. I listen to music a lot, but I think it almost, I don't know, like I think about it differently now because it actually lifts my spirits. Okay. Obviously not everything, but there's certain artists, certain genres that I think is just like, I can be really sad and then I'll play that and it's like all of a sudden just my mood lifts. It's, which I feel is, everyone's probably like, yeah, obviously, like music's the best, but I never had that.
The sort of like a flip in the switch.
Yeah, a little bit. Like I've always enjoyed music, but I felt like I didn't feel dependent on it. And now I'm just kind of like, when I'm feeling sad, I'm like, let's play jazz or like, I don't know, just something. And I've come to rely on that more than I used to. Before it was just like, just for the pleasure of it. But now there's the added layer of like, this is actually making me feel better. Yeah.
Is there a particular like genre or like a musician that you're really into right now?
I've been listening to a lot of things. I feel like lately though, and probably because like John has influenced me a lot too, because he loves this guy, Tom Misch. And but mostly more than Tom Misch, it's this drummer
Okay.
who I'm obsessed with. They recently launched an album, and his name is Yusuf Days.
Yes.
Yusuf Days.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I thought
Like,
you
I've just
knew of
been,
Yusuf Days from before because he's on a lot of other like songs.
yeah, I guess so. But I never, I don't know. Spotify is so, it just like, what's the word?
Well,
It
Spotify is a
just it
playlist.
just,
It's a playlist based platform. So it really does takes away the specialty or sort of the focus off of artists and off of like albums, I find.
yeah, totally. So it's just like, yeah, it's just making this generation of people who don't know what they're listening to because you
Basically,
just
yeah.
listen to it in the background.
You're like, I
And
like that sound, or I've heard that before, but yeah, I don't know the name.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's like someone's going to a show like pre-COVID, and you'd be like, I have no idea who that is. And then they're like, yeah, like, and then they'll play a song. It's like, oh my God, yeah, I love
Yeah, I
that
know. Yeah,
song.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
hate
exactly.
that. It makes me so sad. So
Oh,
yeah, this is like
yeah.
one of those instances of, I've probably heard a lot of him in songs and I just never realized that it was him. But I've been mostly just watching YouTube videos because it's just amazing to also see him perform.
Yes. He's a huge,
Incredible.
like, he's big in terms of his performance, I find, like, sort of how, like, his set design, sort of his, like, attire, his costume when he does perform. Because I think I used to follow him on Instagram. And he did this, like, really cool, like, pink setup. I remember one time. I might be making
Oh,
this
I
up in
haven't
my
seen that.
mind.
I've really just been seeing more of the casual sessions
Oh, okay.
with other musicians, which are
Okay.
incredible, but I want to see all those other videos.
Yeah, okay. The one I was thinking about is Yusuf Days, myself and Don Charlie Stacy. Oh, wait, no, that's like oh, it was at a Virgil Abloh like installation. But
Of
he
course.
drums in front of it and it's like this really cool sound sculpture installation, but it's more speaker sculpture and it's like bright pink. But yeah,
Ooh.
definitely. He's dope. I've actually been listening to or recently got into Queen Herbie. Do you know Queen Herbie?
No.
Oh my God. Okay, so
Queen
everyone,
Herbie?
do you know Carmen? Remember that summer where like that song Broken Hearted was like a huge pop hit?
Oh,
No?
I don't know.
You've definitely heard of
If I
it,
hear it, I think I'll know. Okay.
but basically it's like the female singer from Carmen. They used to be this like very pop duo. They even started on YouTube, then they got founded. And she was like crazy rapping on this YouTube video, this like that Look at Me Now rap. Anyway, and then they became this pop duo, and then she kind of like completely changed her image, and now her husband, who was the other guy in the duo, just produces her tracks, and she's like a full-on like white rapper, and she's like really big on TikTok, and I've like heard all of her songs before and lots of her songs, but only lately have I actually started to like add some of her songs to my playlists on Spotify. So I'll actually like go back and listen to it on Spotify rather than just kind of like hearing it every now and then on TikTok. And I don't know, they're so like boss bitch, like badass kind of energy. And I miss feeling that kind of like Friday night after work. I'm about to
Yeah.
hit Toronto night scene with my girlfriends. Like, I need something that
Oh,
like puts me in
I
the
miss
mood
that.
while I'm pre-drinking at my apartment alone, like that kind of music.
Yeah.
And just listening to that, just like even during work. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, you just feel more like yourself, you know? Or like a version of you that you haven't really
Experienced in a while.
experienced in a really long
Yeah.
time. So yeah, I've been
Yeah.
listening to Queen Herbie a bit. I mean, there's a lot of other artists, but she's kind of like somebody that I feel the need to give a mini shout out to. Sometimes
The
women
other
don't know
day,
though.
I went for a run, which is very rare.
In the winter?
And
Like,
yeah.
no, I mean in the winter.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like minus, I don't know, it was very cold. I still kind of have a cold from it. Um, but I started watching this girl who I follow on Instagram who does some vlogs, and she runs as well. And she was saying how some of the music that she really likes to run to is Hans Zimmer, which is
Yes.
so funny because I would have never thought of that.
Yeah.
And so I tried it. It was really funny. Like, it was such a funny experience. It just felt so epic.
Yeah.
And I was just like literally running like a block away from here.
Yeah.
And I think one of the songs, I can't remember if it's from Interstellar. It probably is. It's called like Cornfield Chase. So it's like a chase soundtrack.
Oh, I think I've actually heard that one.
You should run to that.
I've definitely heard to that. Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I've ever run as fast as I did. It was a little scary even. Like, I felt like someone was
faced.
Yeah, it worked.
Damn.
So I've been doing push-ups every day for the past week.
Wow.
I'm like every day. I actually don't even recognize myself. But I'm still very bad. I have to like kneel.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I still can't go all the way down.
I have no upper body strength.
Yeah, same. Like, I'm like, look at this, like just no muscles. But no, it's getting better. It's crazy. Like, I try and do like 30 a day.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I'll do it like 10 push-ups at a time.
Oh,
okay. Like, I'll take a little break and then do it again. And
that's great.
I just want to feel strong for once in my life. And yeah, it just feels strong. Like no, but actually I'm not. Like,
girl, you bike for like 3 hours to like
my legs are strong. My legs are strong.
Okay,
my
so
arms,
you're strong.
I can't even lift a pan. Like, actually, I can't lift
a pan. I heard you can't lift a pen.
No. Like,
no, I have a hard time lifting pans too. They're heavy, okay?
They're so heavy.
I don't think they're designed for women.
No, but I think some people just lift them up fine.
Okay, maybe it's just us. I'll just blame it on gender.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
That's kind of fun.
You are exercising in that sense.
Just push-ups, that's it.
Okay, you're doing something. You got to give yourself credit, girl. Like, you got to stop downplaying everything that you do.
That's true. Something I'm working on.
Another thing.
Yeah, just another thing.
Relationships. I know that was something that we wanted to talk about. So how have you maintained all your different relationships? We can start with, how have you managed to maintain your friendships in your life? How's that been?
I mean, it hasn't been great. Like, I honestly don't know what it is. I just have such a hard time communicating. Like,
in what sense?
Like, it's not something that comes naturally. I honestly think it comes from a place of anxiety, maybe, of just like checking in with friends. And I'm just really bad at it. I don't know. Like, and maybe I just haven't made enough of an effort, but I also feel like I haven't been in a great mental space. Like, just in general, I feel like I don't really know. Like, I don't have a lot to talk about. I don't know. Like, I just like, it gives me anxiety, basically.
Really?
Which is, yeah.
Interesting.
Which I think the pandemic has made worse. Like,
do you feel
I basically have like generalized anxiety. Like usually I'll have social anxiety, but now it's just kind of like this constant thing. I actually envy John so much because he's so good at just reaching out to people, and like he's constantly calling friends, and I don't know why I feel like if I do that, I feel like I'm a burden. I don't know why. Like it's fucked up actually, but I envy that lightness that he has. It's just like I can just call you up for 5 minutes and that's it, and I'll do that every 2 days or something. And that's very easy for him to do, but I feel like for me it just becomes this whole thing where I don't know, I just overthink it, and then so really all this to say that I haven't really been talking to a lot of people. Like yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of in my own world.
Do you feel like you have to have like something going on in your life to share with your friend, to talk to your friends? And something going on in your life, I mean like something like positive or something like fun or like pretty in terms of like not dark and depressing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I don't want to call my friends and then just like I honestly don't know what to talk about. Or like I'll just skip over all the important things. I don't know, like
What do you mean important things? Like
the real things, like what I'm actually feeling, like the fact that I cry like every 2 days, which is probably not normal, or like and like even with family, I feel bad because when I call my parents, I feel like it's always just trying to get energy from them. Like I'm always taking, but not giving. Like right now, giving to people, I don't know, like attention or advice or everything just feels like a lot.
Yeah.
Which sounds very selfish, but I don't know. It's just been like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, I'm not very good at like I'm awful at like replying to messages. I'm like on a normal day, like pre-pandemic, I'm already bad at that. So I feel like it's just gotten worse.
Yeah.
So
I think
I'm not very proud of that, but it's just the reality of things.
I think that most people understand that like if they know you well, that they know that like I know, let's be completely honest. This is real talk. This is why we're having this. I know Maria's horrible texter. I have a lot of and there's not very many people who are like who really won't
such bad texters.
Reply to like the most basic texts. I mean, that's the best I can say is try not to feel too bad about it, because everyone, and especially you and everybody else in the world, is going through something really tough. And like not texting back, I know it's kind of hard because we kind of need our friends right now. But, you can also just be like, hey, I'm having a really hard time and I just need to not like, I just can't be like my normal self. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like that's fine too, but I know it's a different story.
Yeah,
though.
just set up an auto reply.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, can't get back to you right now.
Totally. Yeah. If that's what you need to do, that's totally fine.
Is that even a thing? Can I do that?
On text? I don't know. iMessage should make that a thing though.
Yeah.
Or like a mental health like alert, like
Yeah.
something default that you can press and be like, when you're like someone calls you and you can click one of those default options, like call me back later or like custom, blah, blah, blah. It should be one of those.
Yeah. You know what? That reminds me, I read this thing, I can't even remember who it was where I read it, but this woman created this app meant for pregnant women. Let's say you got bad news at one of the appointments or something and you don't want to talk about it, but like your friends know that you had that appointment, so they want to check in on you So there's like a
Oh,
little like thing that you put, it's like, I'm okay, but I need some time to like
digest it or
just
something.
digest it. Yeah. So you
Wow.
don't have to actually like message them. It's just kind of
Yeah.
like your status,
Yeah.
and they can see that, and it just puts like less pressure on
Yeah.
you. Anyway, it was like really, really interesting.
I love that.
Yeah, because the woman who created this, I think she was like a single mom. Like she was doing this
Mm.
on her own. So it was like just very difficult, and
Yeah.
also just so time consuming to kind of arrange and orchestrate, like, oh, who's coming with me, like,
Totally.
and then everyone's kind of like, how did it go, how did this go, and it's just
Yeah.
like taking up so much mental space just to communicate with others. So
Yeah. And to also like say out loud or text, even say, I'm not okay over and over and over again. It's almost like, you know, when you don't want to say something out loud because it feels more
mhm.
true. So you keep it to yourself. It's like, but I'm forced to do it multiple times. Like that must be exhausting and just like make you
Right.
feel worse. Let's kind of, you know, reel back in terms of what you were just saying. And it's so you've been crying every other day.
Yeah, I mean, I actually started seeing a therapist, so
How's that going?
that's new. It's really good. it's it's
Good.
really, really good. I started seeing her in January. So early
Okay.
January. I think we've had like 4 sessions now.
Mhm.
Yeah, 4 sessions. It's weird because I've never really done that before. Like I've never been to therapy. But it was something that I wanted to do for a long time.
Mhm.
And I was finally like, no, I need to do this
Mhm.
just for myself and like my mental health.
Mhm.
Um, but it still feels a little weird
What do you
because
mean weird?
it's just a lot of talking about myself,
Yeah.
which is, I rarely do this. I feel, a little weird even right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but it's just been good to really take an hour of the session, or like, take an hour once a week
Mhm.
to really ask myself, like, how am I feeling? Like, what did I deal with this week that felt difficult?
Mhm.
Just it gives me a moment to acknowledge things that I might not think about otherwise.
Mhm.
And it's just nice to have someone who's there listening to you, because they're literally being paid to listen to you.
Mhm.
But just to have someone who is so like, who has no, what's the word? Like,
Like they're like an they have no attachment to your story or like they don't really
yeah,
know you
exactly.
or they don't know you
Exactly.
at
It's just
all.
like this separate person that you're kind of
Mhm.
just telling your story, like your emotions, like you're kind of like unloading that, and they are just helping you process things. And I think it's been really good, like really helpful, and I've enjoyed it a lot.
Would you recommend it to other people?
Yeah, for sure. I think really the only times we stop to think about how we're feeling is when we're not feeling well.
Mhm. Mm.
And I find that those moments are really necessary, to be honest. Like in some ways they're necessary because it makes you pause and makes you think, like, am I going the right direction? Am I being true to myself? Am I being true to my values? Like it really makes you stop and really think and see like how you should kind of address your life, your decisions, whatever. But I
Mhm.
think I was at a point where like even though I had those like moments of pause of just like feeling really sad and everything, that just became so normal
Mm.
that then I just tried to get lost in other things,
Mm.
like
Mhm.
reading or watching movies, or like making stuff or, you know, just kind of taking my mind away from that. So I think what therapy helps me a lot with is just sitting with those feelings and having someone who's a professional help you navigate that and help you see things in a different light. So I really have liked that.
That's amazing.
Really good. Yeah.
I'm really happy for you that you found someone that you could trust to like lay those things out, because I also actually started therapy during COVID.
You did?
Yeah, during quarantine. It was actually over Christmas break, which sucks because my Christmas break, I had a long, pretty break because I had some vacation days.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, you had like a month.
I had a long time. I kind of tacked it onto my Christmas vacation. So I was like really excited to do stuff. But no, I ended up being in my room depressed. I started thinking about how this was like Christmas time, holidays, and I didn't have my full family here, and how I didn't have this sort of traditional family Christmas sort of, you know, experience or holiday experience. And then that made me go down that. So it was a really weird, like, stages of depression. And then I ended up, somehow my mom kind of broke the ice. We had a massive like crying sort of fight, sort of like finally telling her how I've been feeling, what I've been feeling. And then that kind of led me into being like, okay, I need to like work on this. So I spoke with a therapist, then I found a new therapist. But yeah, so it's been really good though. And I actually asked my therapist if she would be okay, what she thought about me doing this. Cause I was like, listen,
really?
Yeah, I told her, I was like, this is something that I've been wanting to do, but I know that like, and we've only had like 3 sessions so far, cause I do like once a month, or I've been trying to do it once a month. And she was like, well, I know, I think it's a great idea. She's like, why are you worried? And I was like, well, I just feel like, I don't know, am I in the right mental state? Do you think I'm okay to like start telling my story? And she was like, well, it sounds like, you know, it's obviously up to you, but it really is, it just came down to the fact that like I am ready. And because this is something I'm working on, this is part of it too. Me sharing part of my story to whoever is listening out there, because some of my closest friends who have known me for like 3 years don't know like the fact that I had gone through something quite traumatic in my life, and that I lost a huge chunk of my family at a very young age until much later. Just because it was just something I never ever, you know, wanted to say out loud, really. So, but this is part of that. And I'm really glad that you're going to therapy for whatever it is that you need, because I definitely have felt the benefits of it as well.
I'm so happy that you're like, that you found someone that is really, that you can connect with, because I have also heard that that's very difficult, and I feel like I got lucky because really it was just kind of my first try, and I found her as well through another website. I think it's called Psychology Today or something.
Okay.
And then you narrow by city. And then you can also filter through like either why you want to go to therapy, or also like language, or you know, like cultural background. And then I went through a lot of people. Most of them were just fully booked. So she was also one of the few who was available. And yeah, I don't know, I went to her site, and she used to be like oh my god, like a photojournalist.
Oh, that's really cool.
Which I thought was really interesting. And just, she also mentioned that she had lived in a lot of places, which to me, I think that was really important, because she knows what it feels like to live outside of like your roots and your home. So I think that's something that I struggle a lot with as well. Just like being an immigrant and being away from my family, like family is so important to me.
Yeah.
And I just wanted someone who could also understand that. So yeah. And she also had like really kind eyes, which is really dumb to say, but in her photo I was like, she looks like a really kind person. I like her.
She had really kind eyes. Oh my god.
Yeah, so
That makes me think, like, do you think it's almost like easier to go to therapy because it's online?
like there's less of a barrier to
Kind of. Like because like I think I told my therapist the first time or on our first session, I was like, yeah, this almost like feels, oh no, I didn't tell her. I told my mom after my first session. I was like, it was like really nice because in a way, I don't know, for me, I remember because I had the experience of actually walking to a therapy clinic and like going there at my first time versus me being literally in my bed and like opening up my laptop and
right.
doing that. And like, it's a bit weird because I think you're in the safety of your own safe space and you're able to cry, you're able to like, and like ugly cry, not even, just like the, like that kind of cry, like
Yeah.
in your own room, in your pajamas, like with your like comfortable blanket and like
Yeah,
with
that's
your,
such a good point.
like with your pillows and
Yeah.
everything versus like being in some other sort of like sterile, very, well, to be honest, it wasn't sterile, but like somebody else's space. And then like
Yeah.
crying there is a bit like, and then you leave and you're almost like, well, I just kind of left a ton of like weird energy in that room. And now I'm kind of like, I want to kind of take it back with me almost. I don't know.
Right.
Sounds weird.
That's really interesting because I didn't think about that at all because I haven't had the other experience. Like I just know this
True.
experience.
True.
So I have nothing to compare it to. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like I feel like I'd probably have anxiety before the appointment.
Yeah.
Just like on my way there in the waiting room.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, just.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
And then, sorry, go.
I was going to say, it also feels like it makes this idea of like, I'm going to get help more like
a thing.
Yeah. Like I feel
like I have to, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm going to get like cured, or I know I'm fucked up and that's why I'm here. And now I'm in the waiting room, like you said, like, whereas if I'm just in my room, like I'm me.
Yeah. Like it feels like it defines you less in a way.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Because you don't see the other patients in the waiting room. Like it's just.
All the other crazies. No, we're all crazy. Sorry, I didn't mean it that way. How has your romantic relationship changed during COVID?
There's been like a lot of ebbs and flows and just cycles. And it's been a year where we've basically just been on top of each other. I think it's been like really nice, but also sometimes really frustrating.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
I think that'll.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like I know of a lot of couples who have broken up and a lot of couples who have gotten engaged.
Yes.
So it feels like,
yeah,
like you just hear the ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But there's also a nice in between. I feel like I'm just there. Like
Yeah. Totally.
It's been good. I feel like sometimes I wish, and like it's funny because he's out there, he can probably hear everything I'm saying, which is fine because we talk about everything, but just sometimes I'm like, I'm craving someone a little bit more creative, maybe. Like he's very, like we're just very different. We're very different. So sometimes I feel like maybe he doesn't fully appreciate like what I like to do on my day-to-day, for example. Like I know he totally respects it and supports me and everything, but I just feel like maybe not at the level that I would want. So I find that's been sometimes something that feels a bit like our relationship is lacking.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it's something that I usually get from my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, I don't know, like talking about art, talking about
go to galleries together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like that part of what I really enjoy to talk about and do,
Yeah.
I think is lacking.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not fair to
Mm.
put all that pressure on John, because
Mm-hmm.
that's not something that's natural to him. That's not something that I've relied on him to do in the past.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
a new thing that
Yeah.
feels like it's lacking just because I don't have the other people around me to
Yeah.
kind of fulfill that thing.
Totally. Yeah, because
So yeah.
art isn't just something like, it doesn't just give you joy because you're doing it, or you're making art, or it's not just like a solo thing. Sometimes the appreciation of enjoying art comes from it being like a group experience, or
Yeah.
being surrounded by other people, or being able to share that experience with other people. I think that's a huge part of it. And I think I haven't really
Yeah.
heard a lot of people talk about that side of what they're missing out, what they feel like they're missing out on in terms of like creativity or things like that.
Yeah. But I find that just couples living together in a confined space during lockdown, during a pandemic, I think puts so much pressure on our relationship, and like so much pressure on one person providing so many things that is never like what it should be. I don't think. Like you're not, I guess this is just like how I see it, at least. It's like a relationship doesn't have to fulfill everything. Like I think there's
Yep.
so many people that you can like love equally, and that can fulfill you and inspire you in so many different ways.
Totally.
And I find that a lot of times, or I guess during this time, it just feels like you're just putting a lot of pressure on each other to kind of, be fulfilled 360. It's impossible. Like that's not a thing.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's very interesting, because I know that there's this, it kind of makes me think of those people that consider a relationship, or consider like their partner as someone who completes their life, or like they just fill this like huge void that they've been missing in their life, and it's like, oh, now that you're in my life, I feel complete. And it just insinuates this idea that you're incomplete without them, or that they're the only person that can complete you, and it's like this one soulmate, this idea of that. And whereas, what you're talking about is a bit more multidimensional. Like you can be a multifaceted person who finds that void filled with many different types of people, and many different people in your life. Like, and it's not just that one person that completes it. So
yeah, 100%. Like,
yeah,
I don't believe that one person can complete you. That's impossible. Like, you have to be like a really boring person. I don't know. Just like very, just one dimension.
I mean, I used to put so much pressure on my friends, actually, to fulfill this kind of void in my life, almost to the point where it was like filling up a family void for me. And I think that just kind of comes from my own, like, again, my experience of having lost my family at a young age. And I didn't realize that until much later. And I think that's where a lot of my expectations from certain friends kind of became this thing where I was like, well, I thought you were like my sister, or like we were as close as family. And that's stuff that's also tossed around, in girl talk, and especially female friendships. But I think that you have to kind of quickly realize that your friends are not your family, and your family is something very different, and its own dynamic and its own connection to you. And your friends are something completely different. And as soon as you start to like appreciate the differences of those, I think you become to learn how to kind of manage that, or kind of set those expectations for yourself. And that's kind of the same thing with you in terms of your romantic partner or your significant other versus other things in your life.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting, because I feel like some of my friends, even just really, really old friends, like not old in age, but just like childhood friendships.
Yeah.
I find that a lot of them, let's say they're either not very close to their families, and so they would like expect so much from me.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where I was like, I don't know, like if I can do this. But it's just, it's interesting that you bring that up, because it's true. Like it's just, you kind of have to realize that everyone has such a different background and such a different, just like really different emotional needs.
Yeah.
And like I know one of my friends, like I remember like her parents divorced, she went like through a lot emotionally very young, and so her friendships for her were just family, literally. And yeah, it's like good to think about that, because it just helps a relationship.
Totally.
Yeah.
I agree. And yeah, you should never feel like you take on those roles, those like family roles, when you don't feel like that's something that you can provide. But that's also something hard. It's something that people don't expect for you to have a conversation about within friends, because then you're like, well, so you don't want to be my friend? It's like, no, it's just the way in which our friendship works, I think, is what we need to change. But maybe normalize having conversations about how you see your friendship working, because
Yeah.
people don't talk
Honestly,
about that.
like that's not, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's true. Like I bought this book called basically, I don't know if it's self-help. I don't know what it is. Maybe it is self-help.
Yeah.
But it's called Big Friendship. It's
Okay.
really, really good. I haven't finished it. I read maybe like 3 chapters, but it was so illuminating or enlightening. What's the word? Yeah. In the sense that, so it's written by 2 best friends, and they talk about meeting, and that whole, they talk about friendship in a way that I had never thought about, which is, they say like the potential of a friendship, like when you come across someone that you like feel that you kind of like gravitate towards, and you're like, oh my God, I want to be friends with them. It's like almost just, it's basically the same feeling as having a crush. Like you don't want to mess it up. You want to, you know, you're like trying to say the right things. Like you
want to come off likable.
Yeah. Like it's like this really platonic thing that, anyways, it's so interesting. I got it a while ago, maybe like 5 months ago. And I think it's just a really, well, the 3 chapters that I read, it's just like a really beautiful way of talking about friendship and just like important friendships. And they have been friends, I think, for like over 10 years. But their relationship has also gone through like lots of highs and lows.
Right.
For times they didn't talk for like a year, or yeah, like it's not like a constant thing. Like you have to work on it. You have to, which is probably really obvious. But I feel like I'm just such a bad friend, honestly. Like I just feel like I need to try and listen to other perspectives just to fully understand. Like, I don't know. I feel really dumb, but yeah, just like really understanding what a friendship means, and like, because it's true, you never really talk about the minutia of a friendship, or not even the minutia, no, like the core of a friendship, or like the important things.
Totally. It's just something like no one teaches you that stuff. It's like you just assume that you pick up how to make friends like as a kid, and it's the same thing. And then whatever you felt and however you navigated it as like a 5-year-old is how you navigate it for the rest of your life, until until you hit a book and you're like, holy shit, wait, there's a different way you can do it. Yeah, I agree. I think like I spent a lot of time thinking about friendship and debating friendship or like just defining it for myself
Mhm.
because of this whole experience that I've had where I relied a lot on it, on my friends for a lot of
Mhm.
things. And I got through a lot of the hardest parts of my life thanks to my friends. And this is not like disregarding my mother. Holy crap, my mother is like, my God. But yeah, and it definitely took me, and it's still something that I'm learning. I learn it
Mhm.
every time all of us kind of hit a new life stage, and when somebody gets engaged and I'm like, okay, so how do I fit as a friend?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
am I like, do I have to become friends with like your partner now? Or like, is it fine if I'm
No,
not? I don't know. I don't know.
I think no.
No, I don't have to be. Okay.
Well, I don't know.
Um, okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much for sharing your story and just being your honest self here. You know, hopefully it felt like a safe space for you to just not like have to be like, oh, yeah, I'm doing great and all this is happening in my life, because that's literally not the point of this. It's just
Yeah.
to be yourself, how you are, come as you are. Is there anything, last words or anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
No, this was really nice, and just like talking to you because I know it's been really long, and like the last few times we've talked, it's been with other people, so it just I don't know, it feels really nice, and I know that even though like this, it's weird because it just feels like a normal conversation. Like I
Oh,
kind of forgot about your microphone, and I'm so used to just being on in front of my
Zoom.
screen on Zoom that
Yeah.
it just feels like just any other day, and
Oh,
um yeah, it was just really nice chatting,
yeah.
and
You
it was
too.
fun to
I had
catch
a,
up. And
I had a really good time chatting with you, and it's definitely been a while. So I really do appreciate
yeah.
this. Thank you for making the time. My mom and I were just talking about today how much we appreciate people who just carve out time for us now. I don't know, that's just become a really precious
Aw.
thing, and I really appreciate the fact that you put some time to this. Um and yeah.